Negotiation is more important now than ever because in tough economic times, the more skills you have in negotiating and, well, knowing how to get what you want and help the other person to achieve what they want, the better off you're going to be. And you have a treat waiting for you right now. My guest joins me right now from his home in New Jersey. It's Greg Williams. And Greg is an internationally known and sought-after speaker, has the genuine concern of others at the core of his business. He's a master negotiator and body language expert. We want to ask him about that, and he joins us right now. Greg, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Terry.
Well, you have done so much to help people in negotiation in many different ways. You've helped them. Well, just as a kind of a big picture right now, what role do you see negotiation and having certain negotiation skills plays in success in business?
Well, Terry, we all have the same amount of time in a day, and yet some people are much better with the outcomes that they actually get than others. Why is that? It's because some people know how to negotiate better. So the better you are at negotiating, knowing when to use the appropriate tactic and strategy in a particular situation, and actually confirming what it is that you hear or see or feel through the acknowledgement of being able to read body language, the better off you'll be able to be in all situations that you encounter.
Yeah, it makes sense because really when you get down to it, business is about negotiating and making sure that it's not just I win all the time and you lose, but it's a matter of finding out where is that other person coming from and what can we do to help them on it. Wouldn't you see business negotiation that way?
Oh, definitely so. If, as a matter of fact, you adopt a win-lose perspective, that's to say, in order for me to win, you have to lose, there will come a time when you'll be negotiating with another entity that knows the person that got the proverbial short end of the stick, as it were, the last time you negotiated, and that person will be waiting for you and make the situation that you encounter at that time much more difficult than otherwise would have been the case. You should always, in a negotiation, make sure that the other party feels as though he or she really did obtain something of perceived value from the effort that they underwent with you in a negotiation.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so I see that having those skills of negotiation are going to be extraordinarily important. Well, I want to take this into the world of where we are today. Matter of fact, right now we even have the wind coming in here, so we're going to close our door right now and get a little bit of that. But and we're negotiating on that, and it's working fine. But we don't negotiate with the wind because the wind generally wins on that. But I wanted to ask you about right now. We're in economic times worldwide where it's a little bit tighter, and we're seeing a very tight recession, the Great Recession or the Greater Recession that many are calling it. And we're seeing what's going on so that a lot of times we think, oh, gee, if I'm a provider of services, I'm a speaker or I'm a coach, a facilitator, or I'm a trainer of some sort and I'm negotiating, I'm in a disadvantage because they think we don't have much business, therefore we're going to be on the short end of the stick. What advice would you give to professional communicators and thought leaders right now in regards to negotiation, and what things should we bear in mind, not only in this, but in other times when the finances are tough and they're a little bit tight and economic conditions are a little bit more strenuous than they normally would be?
Well, there's several aspects from which I'll address that particular question. First of all, if an entity is negotiating with you, they see some value in you, thus the reason they are doing so. Thus, anyone that is negotiating should not take it for granted that because they have a smaller operation and another entity has a large operation, that you should be perceived as having less value. What you should do is truly probe to understand what it is that they see in you as far as the value that you possess, and try and exploit that from a good perspective. What I mean by that is you want to raise your persona in the mind of the people with whom you're negotiating in order that they do not only see value, but in so doing, they will reach out to you from a different perspective. Now, you can confirm exactly what type of value they're sensing in you also by being able to observe their body language. Even, Terry, when you're talking to them on the phone and or in writing. We all have styles of communicating with one another. And when that style of communications changes, something has happened to actually cause that change to actually come about. If you're astute, you can observe what it is and just ask.
Okay.
Well, How does that work with you?
Excellent. Now, Greg, that's where I just really looking forward to talking with you about that because you're an expert on this, on body language as it relates particularly to negotiation. So give us, I'm going to twist your arm a little bit. I'm going to reach through here through the Skype thing. We're going to twist your arm just a little bit. I want you to give me an example of how, if I'm on the phone, and then how I might be on video, because a lot of people are doing negotiation over video with Skype right now and things like that, and Google, et cetera, et cetera. Can you give us an example of one thing with audio, one with video, where we should be aware of something and what it means in a negotiation?
Yes. Now, this is going to come in the form of the same example because some people will be able to see me and they'll be able to hear my voice.
Yeah.
So let's say you call me on the phone and I answer the phone, Greg Williams here. Well, right away, it's giving you the impression that I'm in not the best of moods. I may also have other activities that's distracting me from speaking with you at that particular point in time. And if you hear such a tone as soon as you connect with the person on the phone, you might want to take another breath of air and say something along the lines of, Terry, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm fine, Greg. Okay, again, rush mode.
Yep.
You can hear coming across in the voice. Well, Terry, is this a good time to speak? Well, I don't know. Or, depending upon the relationship you have with the person, Terry, you might take a different tact along the lines of, Terry. Now, did you notice how I paused there, Terry?
Mm-hmm.
I just let that hang out there for a moment. You seem to be in a rush mode today. Is everything okay? Now, I used my tone to calm you down a little bit, and then I'd wait for your response. Your response might be something like, oh, Greg, I'm having a rough day, which is different from the way that you answered the phone. So I've altered your perspective before you and I've actually started to engage in the conversation.
Excellent.
Now, here's another visual cue that you might be able to pick up on if you're doing a video chat with someone. Hi, Terry. How are you? I mean, you can see there's not a whole lot of energy.
Yeah, not a whole lot of excitement there on that one. I've talked to that person before a few times, I think.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I've talked to that person a few times before, I think.
Exactly. As opposed to trying to get the person with whom you're speaking excited about speaking to you, especially if you're talking via video. You can actually use facial expressions, a smile, to actually endear that person to you and you to him.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So those kind of things are important, and we're going to see it even more important now with video. And also, I know one of the areas where you work is on international body language and international communication negotiation. More and more of us are dealing literally around the world. I think it's a necessity for business today to be aware of that and to, in many cases, engage in it. Any pointers you can give us for negotiating when you're going into other cultures and what we need to be aware of?
Yes. First of all, do not assume that just because things are done a certain way in your home environment, that they're done the exact same way in another country. Mm-hmm. And by that, what I mean is understand the culture that you're going to be engaged in prior to actually engaging in that culture. Do some background gathering of information about what the negotiation style might be generically first, and then try and hone in and down on exactly what a particular entity might negotiate with or how they might negotiate during a particular situation. In essence, the more information you can actually gather, the greater off you will be with the outcome that you're seeking. In addition, Terry, there are what's called micro expressions under the body language umbrella. There are 7 micro expressions that are generic to everyone throughout the world. So that's to say, if I applied a stimulus to you in North America and applied that same stimulus to you in South America, if you resided in South America or Asia or any place else in the world, you would react in the same manner. Those are cues that one can pick up on even when you're doing a Skype video or when you're literally listening to someone on the phone, and it gives you additional inside information as to what's going on in that individual's mind.
Yeah, real valuable information. So in other words, we still need to do our homework. If this were 1920 and we're negotiating, we need to do our homework on the person. Fortunately today, we have a lot better tools to access that, from online, LinkedIn, Facebook, looking at the person and understanding. Sound like it'd be important. Greg Williams, you're the Master Negotiator, and people can get in touch with you. I know you've helped a lot, and the more we can learn about negotiation, the better off we're going to be, particularly thought leaders today, because we're connecting now internationally, and we need to know more. Greg, somebody wants to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to reach you?
Well, they can send me an email at Greg, that's Greg, at the, T-H-E, Master, M-A-S-T-E-R, Negotiator, Negotiator.com, or give me a call at 609-369-2100. And please feel free to go to my website, which is www.themasternegotiator.com.
I love it. Well, that would be good. And of course, that's 609 area code for those of you watching this outside the United States. That's Eastern Time Zone U.S., so same as New York. You're not too far from New York City, and so people can reach you that way, but email would be good. Greg, you are a gentleman, sir. You've got a lot of knowledge. You've helped many people, and I got to say, for those of you watching this, get to know this guy. Your life will be better when you get involved with his material. He's got a lot of free stuff on his website that can really help you. Get his stuff, part with a few coins so you can make your life better. And by getting that and get to know this wonderful guy, he's great not only on camera and on stage, but I've seen him off camera. He is just as real and genuine. He is a true gentleman. And Greg, it is wonderful to have you here with us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to a different audience.